Hello, everyone. What a day. What a day. I'm on because I have a very important interview to conduct, but otherwise, then I would not be on this. I want to thank everyone for joining in to the D. Essence Show right here from home, IG Live. And we're going to get straight into it because I do not want to hold anybody up. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of emotions in the air. There's a lot of things that we need to discuss as a community and with each other. And right now, I just need to take a breather from all that because I've been very involved with it today, very emotional, trying to set up town halls and all so we can do a virtual discussion with some beautiful, powerful community leaders that are in art entertainment and also in our community. So stay tuned for that. But I do want to welcome first of all, a beautiful Latina that I've grown up watching on in magazines with her articles in different type of shows. And I reached out to her. I saw that she was Latina from the Bronx, and we're both Geminis. So I figured this would be the best time to bring her on. So I want to thank her for accepting my invite to become part of the D. Essence Show. She is the first ever editor-in-chief for the #1 hip-hop magazine, The Source. She is also a writer, a producer, executive producer, VP of content and editorial for the North Star Group, which is also part of The Source. Has written for XXL, has been on TV. She's part of the whole Love and Hiphop movement starting in 2010 of New York. The list goes on. I want to get right into it. We're going to talk about her upbringing, what it is to be Latina from the Bronx into this industry, hardships. You know, there was some situations going on back in the day. We're not going to touch too much on that, but I just want to see how she came out of that. And we're going to get started. So let's see if I can find her on here because I know she's on here. I have to bring her in. Thank you all for tuning in. Please comment below if you have any questions, any interesting things you want to hear about. Put it down below and I'll get to you as soon as possible. We also are putting this on radio platforms, live streaming platforms, television platforms. So I'm going to have to take like a second of a break between me and her speaking, and that's when I'll shut you guys out and come back in, okay? So you're kind of all part of it, all right? You guys are ready? I want to introduce and bring on Kim Osorio, and we're going to do the damn thing. All right, let's bring her on. Started. Thank you guys for joining us again. Hope everybody's in a positive mood. Hello, pretty lady.
Hi. Do I look good? That's good.
Of course you do. No, you're good. The lighting is good. The sound is good.
Look, because we could go like this.
Right there. Right there.
Go.
I need one of those lights too.
It's just my computer.
Oh, cool. How's everything? First of all, let's introduce yourself. Let's introduce yourself to the viewers and the listeners, and then we'll start getting into our conversation. I want to thank you for being on my platform and trusting me.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is a serious thing for me, so you're safe here. And you are on a list with a bunch of legendaries that I've interviewed already and have become friends with. So welcome to the Essence World.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy
Absolutely.
to be in the Essence World, you know.
Absolutely. So just introduce yourself a little bit.
Well, my name is Kim Osorio. I have to correct you, though, because you said I was the first editor-in-chief. I'm not the first editor-in-chief of The Source. I was the first female editor-in-chief, which I'm sure is what you meant to say.
Yes, and that's even better. That's even better.
Yes, I just want to make sure that, you know, it's
absolutely. Absolutely.
So a lot of people know me from that work. I work right now. I'm an executive producer on Love and Hiphop Season 10, New York. Tune in Monday nights. It's not airing right now, but obviously, as most people in production, we are on hiatus. So, you know, it's been a long haul to the career journey, but it's been fun.
I mean, I could imagine. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. The Instagram thing is so weird, right? Like when you talk, you don't know when you're supposed to talk. I was saying it's been, you know, I do appreciate you having me on. I know you were trying to reach out to me before, right? But I don't know what happened. You know,
it's okay.
We're here. We're all home, and I'm happy.
Exactly. Absolutely. And when we open up, hopefully you can come down to the set in the studio, sit in the house a little bit with me.
Yeah, definitely.
That would be awesome.
Definitely.
So, First of all, I want to congratulate you on all your achievements and all the work you've done. Being a Latina woman, especially from the Bronx, is not easy. And I'm sure
No.
to this day it's not easy. As I know and you know very well that this is a very male dominant industry.
Wait,
And
can I ask you what part of the Bronx are you from?
I'm from, well, right now I'm by Van Cortlandt.
Okay. I used to live over on Sedgwick, not up that far, but I was over there a lot. I had a friend over there, but originally I'm from Castle Hill.
Oh, nice.
Hmm.
Okay. Yeah, I grew up in Davidson and then I
Okay.
moved to Central Park and then over here now.
Fellow Bronx girl.
I love it. So, can you just, all right, first of all, before we get into all of that, I want to know how you're doing through this COVID and how are you dealing with things? Right now, we're in a very emotional time. I've had a very emotional day. I
I'm
was
sure.
stirred alive today, which I never do, but sometimes we need to speak out and vent out and show that we're human as well as public figures.
Right.
So how are you dealing with the whole COVID and everything that's taking place right now?
Okay, so I think I'm doing well. I definitely want to send positive vibes to everybody out there because I do know that there are some people that aren't doing well,
Right.
just mentally, emotionally, and even physically, obviously, because there's a lot of that going on. But I'm doing really well. Like I have been really focused on a lot of work, a lot of writing, and I've taken the time to do things that I hadn't had a chance to do over the last couple of years.
Right.
So I'm blessed, I'll say. I'm blessed. The kids are good. I'm healthy. You know what I'm saying? So
Absolutely, absolutely. It is a beautiful time. I've had a beautiful experience myself, a whole journey, lifestyle change. So it's treating me well too, and it's also a blessing. So it's good to
yeah.
hear that you are too.
Yeah.
Um,
Like and then I'm taking, like you said, lifestyle change. I'm taking the time serious to not I'm not coming out of this fat. I'm just gonna tell you.
I'm
I
not
am
either.
coming I'm not coming out with fat quarantine body.
Me either.
So all you people on Instagram posting all your macaroni and cheese plates and your sweet potato casseroles, I'm not doing that. I'm eating like a bird and I'm exercising every day. So I'm at least trying to come out in quarantine 20
Absolutely.
pounds lighter. You feel me?
I love it. And you got this because I started like maybe 2.5 months ago and I lost 10 pounds already.
I'm at
So,
I'm at a look, I had gained weight before, but I'm at like 13 pounds and
mhm.
now it's like stalled. So I'm gonna have to start cutting calories and running around the block a little more. But
Drink a lot of water, a lot of water.
right. All the
That's
secrets.
That's all I do is the water. All right. So, anything you want to say about what's going on really quickly? Do you want to address anything? I know you write. I know you're an editor. I know this is part of the business for you as well.
Yeah,
Is there anything you want to share about what we're going through, what we've been going through? This is not nothing new, but
right.
recently it's just too much at this point.
It is a lot, and I think because I've, kind of transitioned into television,
Yeah.
I go to work for the last, I don't know, 5 or 6 years. I go to work, I go on set every day. It's super busy. I don't have a time to absorb everything that's going on in the outside world. But sitting at home in quarantine, and just kind of being in contact with so many people, we're just trading information and we're watching, what's going on off of
Mhm.
mainly for me, my Instagram feed. Um, so it's definitely raising the awareness of the
Mhm.
things that we are having to deal with as a community. Um, I just want to say I'm thankful for a lot of people who are on the front lines, who are very active and doing their part in whatever they can to make and affect change. That's that's my thing. Like I want to support, I want to be able to do whatever I can do for those people who are on the front lines, because
Okay.
and it's a lot of people that I have like personal relationships with. So I'm very proud of what they're doing out there, and however I
Right.
can support, I want to continue to do that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Do you write on content as such, racism and brutality and all that? Do you incorporate that in your
Um,
articles?
I don't write articles anymore, believe it or not.
Okay.
It's so
Okay,
funny
wow.
because someone was like, "You really need to get back into writing," and I was like,
Hmm.
it's a rough time for me in terms of like where I am, just
Hmm.
in my own personal space. So there's
Okay.
a lot of personal things that go into my writing. My writing has always been very personal. So even when I was at the source and I wrote about artists, there was a rule. You couldn't write in the first person, right? You couldn't be like, I did this with this person,
Right.
but there was a way to inject your own personal story into a lot of the stories you were doing on the artist and on the culture. And
Okay.
so my writing is very, very personal. And I'm just not in a good space, I think, to be writing about issues that are so important to our community. Now, that's not to say that I don't want to, because there is a part of me that does, but I'm really kind of focused on the TV space. So unless there is a real purpose, what I do more of is I mentor people who are writing, who are on the front lines. Like I trade a lot of information with people, and I give a lot of perspective that I think comes from, a more experienced place than where they are, because a lot of them are a lot younger than me. A lot of writers in the game right now who work for me, they may not have the breadth of information or access that I have. So what I try to do is touch and put my energy out through them.
Okay. Is there any particular reason why you feel like you're not ready to write? Do you want to share anything? Because I've spoken to some writers during this time too, and they just can't do it. And we usually hear that when you're stressed or down or a lot of things are going on, that's when you do sit down and write, because that's
Yes,
when your stuff comes out.
it's the best stuff. But I think it's more so of where my focus is. So I think the writing focus that I have is
Hmm.
on more personal projects. So
Got
I'm
it.
releasing that therapeutically in my writing. Like I did a book in quarantine already. It's like 100,000 words. It's like, but it's all about my personal experience. So it's something that I have to kind of go back to and focus on. So I don't want to muddy up the subject matter of where I
Right,
am, right? And then I have
right.
like some other things that I do just in the television world. So I work on that also.
How was that transition? Well, we might be jumping around a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
because we're kind of
All
on the
good.
subject now. How was that transition from writing to television now?
Okay, so it's any place you go, like any job that you have,
Hmm.
whether it's in the same genre, space, platform, TV, online, digital, when you go from job to job, you have
Hmm.
to learn how that place does things, right?
Okay.
The core of what I do has always been telling stories. So whether I was at the source, whether I was at BET, whether I was, writing reunion shows, or, doing other VH1 shows, or Love and Hip Hop, Growing Up Hip
Right.
Hop, whatever it is, I'm dealing with a different cast. I'm dealing with a different team. I'm dealing with a different production company, but I'm still pulling from my base of experience, which is storytelling. So whatever I do, it's going to connect to that,
Right,
but
right.
it's going to be maybe on a different platform. I could maybe tell stories, with on a mobile app, like whatever it is, it comes from that passion of telling stories.
Absolutely. So it's all part of the process then. It's all
Yes.
part of it.
Yes. So the
It's just more, now
transition,
it's more visual.
yes. So the transition is just like going to another job, right?
Yeah.
So just taking my experiences. Okay, now you're doing television. Now you're doing it with VH1 or WeTV, or, like you're doing it with different network, a different production company, but it's still the same talent. But I
Right.
have to learn the way they do things. And there are more things to learn in any place that you go. You're always
Absolutely.
going to pick up stuff that you don't know.
Okay, now bring us back to young Kim and how all this started. I know we have a degree. I know we're
Okay.
educated. I know we grew up in the BX. Give me a little backstory about where you come from, family, how you got into this business,
You
and the
want to
source
hear,
being like one of the first, you know?
yeah, you want to hear like how spinning on cardboard boxes and things
All
like
of it, baby, all of it. Was you chilling with Crazy Legs?
No, but I wish I was. I would have been a much better break dancer. You know what I'm saying? But
I love
like
it.
for me, I think the cultural, I was always part of the culture, and I never really knew exactly what I wanted to do.
Hmm.
So I had to find myself and I had to find my career. But the passion for the music, the love of hip hop is what drew me to my career. And so, like, like a lot of people from where I'm from, like I'm from Castle Hill. I have certain experiences that I've been through. I grew up with people, but I understand even the like-mindedness of a lot of us, right? So
Right.
like I was just, matter of fact, right before you got online, I was scrolling my timelines and I saw all the great stuff that Ruben Diaz was doing in the Bronx.
Yeah.
You know, I grew up with him. Like I remember him from, you know, childhood. So like to see that stuff and to see that we all kind of have that in us because of
Yeah.
where we come from, you know, I think there's a common thread with a lot of us that come from that area, you know.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Do you come from a family of writers? How were you as a child? Did you like to write a lot?
Oh,
Scribble a lot?
I love to write. I
Mhm.
don't come from a family of writers, right? But you know, my father never even graduated the 8th grade, right?
Wow.
So yeah, he ran numbers. That's what my father did. He was a numbers guy.
So old school.
Very old school, and it's something that I never used to talk about because
Mhm.
I didn't think it was okay. You couldn't, you know, where I was from, it was like, you can't tell nobody what your father does. Tell him he owns a grocery store. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? I'm like, oh, you know, you go to school and they're like, what does your father do? I'm like, he works in a grocery store. But
Hustling.
my father ran numbers. So I was always very good at math, right? I didn't know the writing side of things, right?
Okay.
My mother hadn't gone to college, right? She was working at the telephone company. My grandmother didn't work. So like I don't come from a family of writers because they weren't afforded the opportunities to be creative and be talented.
Right.
They didn't know that they could do those things. Like my
Right.
mother was like, you got to go to law school. And I ended up going to law school because she didn't know what
Mhm.
success was outside of being a lawyer or a doctor.
It's all Latinos home. A doctor or a lawyer.
Right.
That's it.
Right. So yeah, you know,
Yeah.
like, and my I come from a mixed racial background. So like I clear it up a lot because people assume that I'm just Puerto Rican.
Go
But
ahead. I know it. Go ahead.
my mother is half black, half Chinese, right? My father
Mhm.
is Puerto Rican. So like there was also a cultural sort of void for me because I was mixed. I couldn't speak Spanish. I didn't have that full experience. Where my
Mhm.
mother was concerned, like she's mixed in and of herself. So she didn't have a full cultural, it was like, you know, not black enough and definitely too black to be Asian. You know, so for
Absolutely.
me, the identity in terms of culture was all about hip hop and the
Okay.
music and the neighborhood and the people I was around and the melting pot, right? All those cultures in together, really.
Right. Right.
So, you know, for me, like my experience really comes from that and comes from identifying in that culture. So I think that it definitely added to who I was, but finding writing was something I stumbled upon because it was a career in hip hop
Mhm.
that, you know, I knew I wanted to work in music, but I didn't know what I wanted to do. But once I realized, oh no, you're good at writing. And then once I started to see the talent, my parents, they have that talent. Like my father is a storyteller. My grandmother is they didn't know that that's,
Oh.
you know, they didn't know that
Right.
that's a career. They just like to tell
Right.
stories. Like my
Right.
grandmother will tell me stories about, you know, how they used to use the corn on the cob, you know, back in Puerto Rico to wipe their ass. Like not
Yeah.
being 100% click. Can I curse on
Crazy.
here?
Very lightly, but we are going to be on radio station, so we don't want FCC to be like, "What's up
Right.
with the essence?"
Right. So I said, but I could have been talking about a donkey.
I have to tell you, your humor is hilarious. Just do
That's
like
what
your
they
post.
say.
You have such a sarcasm that I don't know if people want to like do one of these sometimes or just laugh it off because I could just imagine.
It's very, I'm holding back a lot right now. It's
Right.
very, my girl, one of my girlfriends says, you missed your calling. You're supposed to be a stand-up. I said, I know. I should
I
have.
love it. I
Mm-hmm.
love it. And then you have that Gemini in you too, which I know all about. I'm June 7th. You're right
Oh, are
after
you?
me.
Oh, you got a birthday
Yep.
coming up. Okay.
Yep.
Yep. Mine's
That's
coming
what I
up
said. We
too.
gotta connect. We gotta connect.
I'm going to be 29.
Awesome. Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm. I don't look 29.
I'm gonna be 19. We both look very young. People would be surprised.
It was my best year. I want to go back to 29. It was like one of my best years.
Really?
What?
What was happening in what was happening at 29?
So much. So
Nothing, you're not gonna give me nothing.
So I wrote a book. It's called Straight from the Source. No,
Mhm.
but
You did though. How did that all go? Because you're
that
very
was great.
honest. You're not afraid to write. Real
I'm
quick
all
before
yeah.
we
I'm no. I'm not afraid to write. No, but I'm also not afraid to own everything that I do. So
absolutely
like
accountability.
like anything I do, like you're not gonna come up and be like, you did. I don't care. Like, yes, I did. But and that's why to me, just having that strong voice, that really I feel like that's a product of where I'm from.
That's very bold.
I think it's a
That's
Bronx
very
thing.
it most likely is. I just want
Yes.
to take a quick break. I just want to take a
Okay.
quick break. I just want to thank everyone for joining our live. We are here with legendary you have so many titles.
I know.
Editor, producer, executive, like you name it, look her up. Whoever is into hip hop will recognize the face from years ago. I remember when I was growing up and seeing you in like documentaries or interviews or whatever the case may be. And now we're back. Thank you for joining us on the D. Essence Show. I want to ask you one more question about your mom.
Sure.
How was that? It doesn't have to be a long detail, but how was that her? Was she like coming from like was she coming from her continent over here, or was she born in the Bronx?
My mom,
Yeah, like how was
she's
that
from
all growing up?
she's from Harlem.
Wow,
Yes.
nice. Okay, so
Yeah.
everybody's from over here. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
my both of my parents are from East Harlem.
Okay.
So yeah, and then they moved to the Bronx like, before I was born. But my mother, she's one of 14. So yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
Amazing.
one
You
of
have a
14.
huge family then.
Yes, a lot of cousins. A
And I
lot of
can
cousins.
imagine the stories that she has to tell about being here in Harlem and
Yeah,
and
like
marrying a Puerto Rican. Like that's very interesting.
yes, yes. It is. It is. I think I'll write a book one day about like that experience, but first I got
Yeah,
to unleash everything that I have.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. How did you get noticed? What did you have to do to break into the business at a young age, being, a female in a male dominant hip hop world? How did that all work? Because there's a lot of Latinas, there's a lot of females out here that are breaking in, including myself.
Right.
And, we need some tips over here. We need to know what's going on.
You want to know how I broke in? You want the truth, right?
Of course,
Okay. I
all the
always did the
time.
work. I always did the work. But I also, this is real. I also hit the clubs.
Okay.
So, and when I say that, I don't know what the equivalent is to the clubs these days. It's possibly social media, right? So
Okay. Yeah,
it's all about connections and relationships. So
absolutely.
no matter what I was writing, it wasn't going to do anything beyond being my computer unless I had the connections in the business to be able to
Mhm.
get published. So
Mhm.
I made a lot of connections coming up, and just kind of fortunately being from the Bronx, there were a lot of people moving in that direction in the industry, right? So we were
Mhm.
all kind of coming up at the same time.
Mhm.
So I was able to, you know, really get my name out there, just knowing a lot of people, meeting people, making
Mhm.
connections, being really hungry about what I wanted to do. And then
Mhm.
once I got there, once I got my foot in the door, then it's about maintaining that, like definitely like doing the work, doing your research, making sure you're always prepared. And I think
Mhm.
like even to this day, like all I do is like scour not just the internet, but even my network of people for information, you know?
Absolutely. And the networking never finishes. That's life. That's the lifestyle.
Yeah,
You
definitely.
have to keep connecting. Yeah. That
Definitely.
what you just said is speaking my language. So that's awesome because it just lets us know, well, let me know that I'm doing what I need to be doing, which I already know, but it's good to get experience from individuals that have been in the business for a very long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No sleep.
No sleep?
No sleep. And
Yeah,
look, I'm fronting because I sleep a lot, but you got to make up for it. You got to make sure
absolutely.
you're maintaining those relationships and making those connections and keeping them going.
Absolutely. Like I do that with everybody I meet, everyone who's been on the show, I still keep in touch with, and they come back and now we're friends, and it's just a great journey.
Yep.
It really is.
Yep. And
How was
really about helping each other as well.
Thank
Like
you.
making
Thank
yep.
you. because a lot of people in the industry say they're there, they support you, you're amazing. And then when it comes down to like, I just need one little assistant, it's you don't see nobody.
Yeah.
Crickets, right?
No, it's a lot of favors, trust me.
How is it source experience versus now? We know that the source is still here, still providing us with information. I actually went to an audition for the Her Source,
Oh,
and
okay.
it went great. Then COVID happens.
Oh, yeah.
And they were doing Her Source, and then when I came in, they liked my style, they saw what I do and my experience, and they said, we want to make this a Latina urban source, and we
Mm-hmm.
would like you to be the face of it.
Nice.
But the COVID started, so I haven't heard
Right.
from them. But I still try to like email and see what the status is. But anyway, so now Lundell McMillan is in charge.
Yep.
Well, I had the pleasure of meeting at Windows of Hip Hop, and he's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So we know, well, for some, we know that there was some situations in the past that you had to deal with and kind of put on blast.
Yes.
We won't get too much into it, but I kind of do want to know how you've come out of it. How do you rate, like, that versus now? How has the source come? I don't know how to even say it. Like, what have the changes been to make it better for the future versus before? Because before,
Well,
the credibility, the people who were running it was a little, there was a lot of drama, street drama, and I'm not even speaking about your situation. I'm just talking about them. And now it's been cleaned up. So I just want you to kind of let us know that it's a great magazine. It's a safe place to be.
listen, no, let me say this. Like, I will never have another job like I had when we were at the source. I just talked to
Yeah.
shout out to everybody that's jumping in and out of the lives. I see Cisco on there.
Hey guys.
But I just want to shout everybody out.
Sure.
But, that's the best job I ever had. Right? It was the most fun. And it was during a time where I was having the most fun.
And it was at its prime.
Yes. And it was,
right?
It was, it's so funny. Someone asked me, were you ever scared? And I was like, scared of what? And they were like, oh, there was so much going on. At the time, there was beef, there was people coming up. I was like, no, it was exciting for us. So it was an exciting job to have. I love that job. And I understand that it's always going to be a part of me. So I'm not sort of functioning in my career these days like, oh, I want to leave that in the past. Look, like it is a big part of what I've done in my career, right?
Yeah. And you made a huge stamp there. Like you said, you were the first female. Yeah. That's major.
Yeah, it was a big deal back then. And I think especially for a hip hop publication, it was male dominated. So for me, I understand the significance that the source holds in my life and in my journey. And I take that with me, right? So no matter what job I am at, I understand like I will be Kim from the source forever. Like that's how people identify me. It doesn't mean I can't go on to do other great things. It doesn't mean I'm not, like I'm on right now, like the biggest show on TV. That's a big role to have, within the structure of the organization, especially as a showrunner, right? So like there's a lot of pressure there. But I understand the identifying part of my career is related to the source. And that's where, you know what I'm saying? I think I'll never have that moment in time again. To be able to take that moment with me and create other moments, like that's a big part of my career.
Absolutely. And it's amazing how you took a break and then when somebody bought it, you came right back, right?
Not right back. So when Londell took the source over, it was, I think, like 7 years after my lawsuit. And it was a good time for me to go back, just in terms of where I was. I had written my book, I had gotten it, out, and I wanted to go back and feel like that positive connection to the brand again. And so I went back in 2012, and I was there for a couple more years before I decided, you know what, I have to sort of spread my wings, and I wanted to do other things.
Absolutely. How was the turnout of the lawsuit? Did you feel like you won?
I did. I won. I was victorious. I won on 2 claims, retaliation and defamation, right? But obviously, like, after I filed, I mean, after the verdict came out, the source filed for bankruptcy because they were going through financial problems, you know. But I had to settle that situation, even though there was a judgment. You still have to get the money, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I was able to settle for an undisclosed amount
Right.
after the case. Yeah, yeah.
How was that for you? I mean, I saw newspapers with your face on it. You know, it was a big deal. And then you're a female speaking against men in the industry. Like, that doesn't cause fear for you? You wasn't worried about your career or someone hurting you? I'm just asking because of just all the tension that was around and the people you were dealing with. Was that ever an issue for you? Or did you just not care and just stand up for yourself?
No, I wanted to stand up for myself, and I definitely cared.
Good.
You know, I cared. I understood that my reputation would be on the line. I understood that it could be hard to get a job, and it was hard after that to get a job. You know, it took a couple
Really?
months. Yeah, it was hard. I didn't get a job until you know, Rhonda Cowan, who hired me at BET, a woman in the industry who understood that plight, right?
I was just
That
gonna say
was
that.
the first, right? That's like one of my best friends to this day. That was the first job I got coming out of the source after the lawsuit. So to me, it was like, am I ever going to be able to, you know, match this? Because people, you know, generally, yeah, I don't want to hire the person that just sued the company they left last year.
So that means you
You
ain't
know,
afraid to talk. You ain't afraid to talk and let out
right.
whatever needs to be let out. Yeah.
So, you know, for that, that was a tough time for me. I didn't know where my career was headed. I didn't know I was going to be in TV, but everything happens for a reason, right? I went into the digital space at a time where online was booming. So I learned a lot about, you know, just online content. On the network side, I also learned a lot about television. So I was at BT for 6 years. You know,
Right.
it was a good time for me to get my foot in the door back then. People ask me about the transition to TV now in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
This is in 2005. So
Yeah,
I was
you.
kind of forced into television, which is a great thing because I got a jump on that, you
Mm-hmm.
know?
What do you like better? You like to be on TV or you like to be behind the scenes?
Depends.
Okay.
It depends, right? Like it depends on what project I'm working on behind the scenes. It depends
Mm-hmm.
on what project I'm doing in front of the camera. Like, because I like certain things
Yeah.
about both.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
that's the amazing thing about our industry, that you can float around and just be creative anywhere, and it all kind of comes together. You know, you start off with radio, you end up on TV.
Right.
You're a writer, you end up writing a book. Like it's just a movie. Like it's just an amazing experience.
It's like I said, it's all telling stories.
Yeah.
It's all storytelling.
Absolutely.
It's like when you get on the
Absolutely.
phone with me, and you don't ask me to tell your story because I'm just never gonna end. It's gonna go on and on and on. Like you know, I start to embellish and describe. I'm thinking
Oh,
that
I
we
love
made
it.
something.
I
So
love
yeah.
it. Do you keep in, have you spoken or kept in touch with any of those parties after the fact, or it's just been completely like, have you run into anybody? Or we just passed that and that's
You talking
that?
about from source days?
Yeah, like that whole situation afterwards, like whatever backlash you had.
I
You know, 'cause it's more industry, and you're in Love and Hip Hop, and
Yep.
there was a mutual person that was there at one point, right?
Benzino.
Yeah.
I have talked to Benzino. That's
Okay.
exclusive for you. See, the thing is, it's so far in our past, but the bigger significant piece of that history is the magazine
Okay.
and making sure that we preserve the brand's legacy, right?
Okay.
So I think the way that it's attached to me,
Mm-hmm.
he obviously has a huge attachment to it as well,
Mm-hmm.
despite what he's gone on to do in his television career. So
Right.
there's a commonality. So being able to look, what happened happened, and I'll tell him straight up to his face. I'll be like, "I'll sue you again. You do anything crazy." But
Tell me get a line.
but it's a different time. You see, I was at a place in my career where I was afraid to speak up because, you know, that's my job and I'm scared. This is the person in control of my job. The dynamic is not there anymore. So we
Right,
can now
right.
have a real conversation. Look, this was wrong. You know, I didn't like this. He could tell me he didn't like that. And really, it's about, you know, looking back on it and making sure, you know, and understanding that that's a huge part of the source's history.
Right.
It's a huge part, you know.
Absolutely. It's a foundation.
It is. And there's a lot of us out there like that have stories that all connect to the source. There's a lot of people that came out of that magazine that are doing big things and they
Yes.
started there. And
Right.
so for us to not be connected is part of the problem, I think, in terms of the legacy of the magazine and the brand, because people want to push it behind them, like because of all of maybe the negative stuff they may feel like was attached to it. But
Right.
once you get past that and you deal with that hurt and that pain, you realize the, you know, because people from the outside looking in are like that. The brand is legendary,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and
It
that's
is.
how, you know, that's how I feel about it. So I don't want to, you know, harbor any pain towards the brand. That's why I went back. You know, I think
Right.
it's
Right.
all now about preserving the brand's place in the culture.
Right.
Especially with what is going on right now. You look at the individuals that are out there on the front lines, but where is like the entity like the source,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like there isn't. Back then, if some stuff like what's going on, it's so hard to do this without cursing. If there's some stuff like what's going on right now, like if this was happening in the heyday of the source would be on the front line,
Yeah, they had the
right?
politics, they had the community, and then they had the hip hop, and then they started
To
with the
be able,
fashion. It was
because
great.
what I see now is I see a lot of people out there doing it. They're
Yeah.
really doing it, right? In their
Mm-hmm.
activism, but they're not connected. They're all
Yeah.
doing their own thing. And so
Yep.
they need somebody to come in and kind of like pull everybody together. And the source was that brand at one point in time. So, you know, it's not saying that it can't be done. It's just that it's time for us now that we're analyzing stuff and everybody's home
Yep.
watching what's going on. Nobody has an
Yep.
excuse anymore. I don't have an excuse anymore. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like you just home, all you getting are these videos that, you know, have all this stuff, all this, you know, the police killings and everything. Like
Yeah.
you can't ignore it anymore.
You can't run from it no
It's right
more.
there because you're
Yep.
home,
Yep.
right? It's every piece of my timeline when I'm scrolling. It's everything. Like no one. And then there are people who are silent. And look, I don't judge. You know, if you don't want to be an activist, like I'm cool. Like I don't judge people for that. You just
Right.
you know what it is. And there are some people that are about it, and then there are some people that don't want to be connected. And this is the time for us all to see where we stand.
Absolutely. What's your favorite? Which favorite cover you enjoy? What cover is your favorite?
Of the source?
Yeah.
Hmm. I get this question and I never have an answer.
Did you
I
have
want to
anything to
say,
do with the covers? Like the
oh yes,
wording
of
or
course. When I was the editor in chief, of course, like putting those
okay.
that's the big part. Like the cover is like your first priority because that's what
Okay.
sells the magazine. So like I
Got
want to
it.
say, there's so many covers that I love that are legendary. I
It's
want to
okay.
say,
Okay.
you know, I always say the Jay-Z cover because it was the highest selling.
I don't want to hold you up too much longer. Favorite cover was Jay-Z, right? Favorite person, and you said
I said
and
that. Yeah.
you said that you had a lot of business with the covers too, because that was just all part of being
Absolutely.
the editor.
Yep.
Okay. What favorite person you had that you wrote about, I should say, and who was the least favorite? Since you're so honest. Anybody that you was kind of like, I gotta kind of like make up stuff here because there's really not.
Like who was a boring interview?
Yeah, you know, I have experience. I know that when you gotta pull out stuff from people. Yeah,
Some people, but you know what? Some people don't have good interview skills.
right.
And some people are very personal. Like some
Mm-hmm.
people know how to, like that's the thing about artists, and it's like they don't do media training the way they used to, right?
Right.
So
Absolutely.
I used to actually media train. Like I used to do that with artists. Um, it's interesting because now you can see, especially in the Instagram days, when people go online and don't have any personality,
Yeah.
right? So that charisma, being able to keep your, you know, the interviewer engaged, like that's a skill that you
It
have to
is.
learn. So
Yeah.
there were definitely a lot of boring interviews in my day. I don't think I would name anyone because I really don't remember who was bad, but they were definitely like boring interviews. And I had my favorite interviews. That's a hard one. That's a hard one.
Anyone that stands out, at least one.
I mean, I'm actually, I don't have, let me tell you why I don't have the answer right now. Because my memory is bad. I just called my girlfriend this morning, like, I can't remember anything anymore. Like, where
Everything is
did
like a
we meet?
blur.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't remember. But I have been going through some old tapes, some old interviews that I did and transcribing them. That has been great because I didn't remember a
Yeah.
lot of stuff. Listen, I was transcribing this interview. Where was it? It was like, where was it? It was an interview, and I'm like doing the interview, and I spilled food on myself on the interview. Okay? All right? The artist goes, in the interview, in the tapes, the artist is like, you all right? And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry.
I'm trying to multitask here.
To him, but I was pregnant in the interview. But I say to him in the interview, I say, I shouldn't be eating while we're conducting this interview. Because I
Right.
really, at that stage in my career, being so young and being, you know, someone that's still fairly new,
Yeah.
why am I eating in the interview? But I was, it's right here. Bam. I was eating in the interview. And so now I said, I didn't remember that. Like, I remember vaguely, like the memory was coming back. I was like, I must have did the interview with like sauce on my shirt the whole time. So I'm going through these interviews and I'm learning. Like I had an interview I remember with Red and Meth, right? And I wrote this big feature on them in the source. And that interview, I remember the big thing, Def Jam used to hire me to do a lot of their stuff. Like I did their bios and stuff, you know, because they just weren't artists who sat and answered questions. They just didn't do that. They were like, they were, first of all, they were probably high. And I would ask questions or a journalist would ask questions and they would just laugh. They're not answering questions. So it got to the point where they would just laugh. And that's like, even the interviews I have, like if I listen to them, they're not answering the questions. So you have to find creative ways to write about the artist and to get them to engage with you. So I remember we had a spitball fight, right? And we were
with Method Man?
Red and Meth.
Oh, do you still have the spitballs?
No.
Oh, I would have seen those things, girl. I'm a method lover, so don't mind me.
Oh, wait. So we're having this spitball fight. I think it was a couple people in the office and me, and it was really like playful, like, and he was sitting on the couch, and I remember him saying, Kim, do not throw a spitball at me. And I was like, and I threw a spitball at him. And he was on the phone, and I wrote about this in the article. And he was like, I told you not to throw that spitball, right? And I'm over there like shooting spitballs at Redman, and it's just a real fun photo shoot day. And I have this interview, but I don't have that argument. But anyway, he gets up from his phone call. He gets off the phone very calmly, gets up from this like, now you're in trouble. On. Like, goes in the refrigerator and takes out these it was at Def Jam, and like takes out these frozen butter packs and just starts to like throw them at me. Like, so now I'm like dodging like these butter packs. But I'll say in his defense, I got hit in the eye. I had like a thing in my eye the next day. And I'll say this. He told me not to throw spitballs at him, but I did it anyway because I was like, oh, they don't want to answer questions. So like those type of stories and experiences,
and you still
like,
got a great story out of it. You got a great story out of it. Forget the interview.
and the eye thing and the eye jammy, right? So like it was funny because it was, you know, so there are all of these interviews that I have from the 90s where you have different experiences and you put that, and that was it. When you wrote articles in the source, you didn't just go do the interview and then go. You lived with the subjects for a while,
right?
Like,
right.
Were 2 weeks, right? So it's like you don't just go do an interview at the studio. You go to the studio, you see them in the studio, you see how they make, you know, craft the music. Then you go see this part of their life. You know, you might go to a show. Like, so there was so much that went into writing about the artist back then. It wasn't just, hey, let's jump on IG Live and I'm gonna ask you a couple of questions. It was like, no, in order to write this story so the audience can really connect with you, I am going to understand what it is to really be who you are.
Right, which is when you came, right, which is when you started doing the show. You did a show like that too, right? In the life of?
What do you, which show?
I saw somewhere in your history that was it a show or a book, The Life of?
The Life of? It doesn't sound familiar. I wrote a book called From the Source. I was on a show called The Gossip Game. Now,
I saw that. Yep.
Right. So like when I talk about what I do these days, right? Like in when you do what we do in reality, when you produce reality TV, right? That is all coming from a very real place. So what you're doing, you're not just getting on the phone and having one phone call with your cast member. You're kind of doing what I was doing back in the 90s.
Right.
Like you're digging into the lives of these cast members in order to execute the story in front of the camera, because you want the emotions to be as real as possible.
Absolutely.
So even though some of the situations are, you're putting people in situations, those situations mirror, what's going on in their real life. And that's how we keep things very real in front of the camera. A lot of stuff, people accuse a lot of the stuff you see in reality TV. Oh, it's scripted, right? No, you're scripting maybe scenarios, but the emotions are real. If the emotions aren't real, we don't even want the scene. Like, we don't want a scene like that. Like, oh, he was faking it. You could see it all in their face. So that digging that I did back in the 90s when I was working at the Source is still relevant to what I do today.
Do now, because that's basically the whole show.
That's the show. Like finding out, like in order to have cast members open up their lives on TV, as producers, we need to understand what's really happening in their lives. And a lot of times, the more successful those cast members are, the less likely they are to want to shine a camera on their real life. So as a producer, you have to, there's a little bit of like investigative journalism that goes into finding out what the story is.
Absolutely. How did you get approached with the whole Mona Scott Love and Hip Hop? And also, what made you get on board? Because, there's been a lot of negativity on there and a lot of negativity around it. It's known for drama. It is known for very fakeness and just not empowering. There's very few characters that you can say, let's just say Yandy Smith is the most empowering one there, or positive, or whatever the case may be. How is all that for you? How do you feel about it? I don't,
I mean, the things I was saying, just a few minutes ago apply, right? So I'm an executive producer. I work mostly now in the reality TV genre. Everything I do, I want to be very real. So I don't, hey, I want to do scripted TV too, but that's not what we're doing on Love and Hip Hop, because when you start to, really, like I was saying, showcase these cast members' lives, the more fake it is, the less the audience is. Our audience is not dumb. Our audience is very savvy, right? So like, I never want to dumb anything down. And I don't like, because I deal with a lot on the TV side, right? So I don't like the accusations, sometimes where it's like you want to dumb down the television. That's not what I do. So any show that I'm on, that I'm working on, I want to make sure it's as real as possible. I can't speak for any other seasons or any other criticism that they may have been under. There's probably a ton of scenes out there. I don't know about that. When it comes to my experience, the shows that I've done, in addition, not just Love and Hip Hop, because Love and Hip Hop does get a bad rap because it is so successful, right? But it's a lot of the same stuff you hear about with reality TV. But our audience has to want to engage and support shows that are different in order to keep those different shows on the air. I did a show that I often say is one of my favorite shows that I've done, Hustle in Brooklyn on BET.
That was a great show.
Everyone says it was a great show.
The cast was too. The cast was too, personally well,
Right. That show was I was very much connected to that show, and a lot of people that worked on that show knew like I had a lot of influence on that show, and we're all of us that worked on that show were very proud of that show, right? The show didn't come back for a second season.
It
Now I
didn't.
can't
Why was that?
I can't speak to that. Like that's a network decision, right?
Okay.
Like I don't know if the ratings were high enough, if they expected more, if they spent too much money. There's a lot of things that go into network decisions on why they renew stuff, you know, why they don't. Production companies, like relationships, like all of these things are part of that, you know, that reasoning.
Right, right.
But you know, that was a great show. If the audience doesn't get behind stuff, like you didn't see you saw a lot of conflict, you saw a lot of drama, you saw a lot of competition, you saw young people really striving to get ahead in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
You saw all of that, and you saw it differently. You didn't see it with the interviews that, you know, you're you know, hey, I walk in the room and I saw. No, we don't need that, because our audience understands what's going on. Our
Right,
audience gets
right.
it. So we don't, you know, like I come from a place of producing. If I had my way, I wouldn't have. I would be done with the interviews, right? You know what I'm talking about? The green screens. You know
Yes.
right. So when you
Yeah.
get into TV,
I did that.
when you really start to understand TV and you understand those green screen interviews really carry a scene, right?
Yeah.
I don't think our audience needs to see that anymore. It's overused and it's cheesy, and I
It
don't
is
need a
cheesy.
narrator. Right. That's just my preference, though. But it is
Yeah.
the way that many reality shows have been made for many years. Right. I don't need you to walk me through and tell me what you're doing. I could see what you're doing.
Right.
So on Hustle in Brooklyn, we approached things differently because it was a new show. We experimented. We took risks, right? So we didn't have those interviews. We told the story in verite. And a lot of people really liked that. And as a producer, I was very hands-on with being able to bring the story out on set in the scene work, as opposed to having them narrate cheesily, in a very cheesy way, what's happening on the screen. So, you know, those are the type of things that I'm doing in TV, but I think we have to be able to support those new shows that come out. You know, again, I understand that there's a lot of criticism that Love and Hip Hop gets. I get it. It, you know, people are using it as the scapegoat because it's so successful. It's been on for, you know, New York has been on for years, seasons. And
yeah, it's my favorite one actually, but yeah.
We have to be careful about how we portray that, because Love and Hip Hop provides opportunities, not just for me, like everybody on my set, the crew, the, you know, like the cameraman, like there's a lot of jobs that it's given a lot of people for many years.
Yep.
From the cast,
absolutely,
from front of the camera to behind the camera. And, you know, even though maybe, you know, people hear like, oh, these people in these boardrooms and, you know, they don't know our culture. There's a lot of people who are eating off of it. So we need to be great, you know, a lot of us that are, right? So we need to be grateful. We need to find new ways. And as an audience, you know, we need to support the things we want to see. So if the ratings are jumping every time someone's wig is on the floor, then what do you expect?
Right.
Right? So like, if Twitter is going ham every time, you know, somebody gets physical, then that's what's producing the ratings.
Yeah, so like, with TV.
You know, let's support the great things that we see that we love. Because sometimes I see emotional scenes, relationship scenes that people really enjoy and gravitate towards. And that's stuff we need to be able to spread on social. The power of social media is very strong.
Insane. Yeah. The last season, I actually enjoyed a bit more because it was a more serious manner. And you guys were kind of focusing on what we were dealing with. So I felt like it was being more sincere, a little more upgraded, not as much drama. I also like New York cast. Yeah. I mean, you know, good TV is great, but if there's so many people watching, we have to like really, like, I want to see more of Love and Hip Hop. Like, I want to see hip hop couples in love, you know what I mean? And behind the scenes stuff. And then it turned into like all this drama. And at one point I was like, okay, I can't really do this anymore.
Well, let me go there. Men have to be faithful now if we want to shine a light on that.
That's true. That's true.
There's also a lot of sloppiness going on. I'm gonna keep it 100,
Absolutely.
okay?
Absolutely.
I just had a conversation where, you know, like younger guys were like, "Come on, that's what guys do." I'm like, that doesn't make it right.
No, and we don't really want to promote that either, because we are trying to encourage the youth to make a change. And if this is what they're watching,
Yeah.
the cheating and all of this, it's like listening to the music. We're not really doing much.
But you know what I will say? Look at how great the relationship between Remy and Pat plays on Love and Hiphop.
I love it. I love it.
It plays great, and we
It
do
does.
highlight it.
Yep.
Right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yep.
And I love that we're doing that. Absolutely.
Yep.
Is there any favorite cast member you like the most, that you have something with? Like just like a little
on Love and Hiphop?
Yeah, or any other cast. Growing Up Hip Hop.
I'm still working on that show. I would never say that. They would kill me. It would come back to me. It would be like,
it's not favoritism, but you know.
Yeah. I try to be as, you know, unbiased as I can when I'm working, because, you know, we are doing a show. Are there people that when the show is over, when I move on, when they move on, that I will support forever? Yes.
Yeah.
There are people on that show that I can see beyond this show. I would do whatever I can to help them.
Beautiful.
Just because I know that they're a good person. And then there are people that I'm like, when this show is over, we're
over.
But
I'm sorry that I worded it like that. I should not use favorite, because it does like single out people.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that on, you know, that's still, you know, I'm still the showrunner, right? But that's on every show. You know, that's on every show. You leave the show. Sometimes you take some of the relationships with you. That's in every experience in life. That goes back to my days at the source. There's people who are my, you know, in my best friend circle that I have maintained. And then there's people that other people catch them talking shit about me at the Soho House. Sorry, I cursed again. But
it's okay.
I'm from the Bronx. I can't help it. But it happens. Like last year, there was someone I worked at, you know, I mean, I worked with at the source that I never knew had an issue with me. And they were like, at the Soho House, you know, mouth bleeding with insults. And so you never know. So like in any job that you're in, sometimes you take the relationships with you. Sometimes you give them the deuces.
How do you have any advice on how to handle all of that? Because, you know, sometimes we want this, we love it, we'll do whatever we have to do for it, we'll fight for it, you know, speaking from my truth too. But there's certain times that people say certain things that you ignore and you want to just brush off, but it just kind of stings and it stays there, and you have to evaluate how you're going to approach this. Do you let it slide? Like, you know, it comes from men and female. How do you handle that? Can you give us some tips on that?
Oh, absolutely, because I definitely have that challenge.
Because you know.
So, I try
because
to take
people always say, you know, you have to have tough skin, and that's true, but we're still human too. No matter what, it's still gonna hurt.
Absolutely. You have to have like tough skin, but you know, you also can't really take a lot of stuff. Trying not to curse here again. So, you know, for me, like I watched The Becoming, Michelle Obama.
Oh, it was great.
It was amazing.
You see how they tore her apart though?
It was amazing. But wait, that day that I watched that documentary, all I wanted to do was be positive. All I wanted to do was be positive and help people. I was like, I saw the Michelle Obama documentary. I love everybody.
Oh God, you got slack for that?
No, I'm just saying, like.
Oh, okay.
I took in positivity that day.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So try to protect your energy. And no, because there are other days that I'm not taking in as much positivity. I can't watch the Michelle Obama documentary every day. You know, sometimes I want to watch a little ratchetness. So on those days that I watch the ratchetness, then I have to manage the intake of people that I really don't want to be around. And so I like to surround myself with people I enjoy and who give me good energy. And I think that
Absolutely.
my advice would be to watch the energy around you, and you can sense when the energy is really bad. And so I've learned that as I've gotten older, keep your
Yeah.
negative energy away from me, because my emotions can't handle it. That's
Yeah.
the way
I'm
I
like
feel
that too.
myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
what happens if you're in the same situation as this person and you have to work with this person day in and day out? That's when it
It
gets hard too. You can't escape it.
it happens every day when I'm working on certain projects, especially in television. So it's very hard.